What's going on, guys? My name is Yellow S2K and welcome to some MXGP 2019. I'm excited to share with you guys my thoughts on this game and really show you guys what you're getting yourself into before you decide to go out and pick it up. I'm going to do this a little bit different than I have in the past. I'm going to make a variety of videos showcasing all of the different stuff in the game, but I'm going to start with the first and most important video, the writing. What is the writing like? How does the game feel? What does it look like? And again, kind of get an idea what you're getting yourself into. So we're going to hop into quick modes here, and we are going to do a Grand Prix. We are going to be riding the 250 or the MX2 class here. We already have it set up. Obviously, I have a wide variety here. We're going to ride as Garcia, keep this all KTM on this one. And then the track, we're going to be riding in Argentina. I think it's a great track to showcase kind of what you're getting yourself into right away. Yeah, so may as well show you guys the race options here. We're going to go with clear weather to start off with. Single race short, so you have a variety. Realistic, which is your full 30 minutes. We're going to do short, which is like 3 to 5 minutes since we're going to do multiple races here. AI difficulty, I think I'm going to put it on hard just for video's sake. Realistic, they're going to be battling me a little hard. I want to show you guys how the bikes feel. So let's go with hard for now. Let's see, advanced physics, joint brakes off, manual rider weight, manual transmission, and no rewind. So kind of the standard settings that you'd see from most videos. But let's hop right in. Again, we're going to be riding the 250. I do like the menus, I have to say. I do have the music turned off for copyright and whatnot, just because there was some kind of silly music. But I can tell you the menus are a little bit more hip. That sounds pretty ridiculous, but it's definitely a really cool vibe and definitely something a little bit different, totally different feel than previous games. You can just kind of see this whole styling of everything is totally different, which is pretty cool. But again, this is all about the riding. Let's hop right in. May as well show you guys the span of what you can do with the bikes. It's pretty extensive, honestly. It's pretty sweet to see, and it'll be really, really fun to play with. Some pretty nice visuals here too. Brake response, your accelerator mapping, pretty cool. It'll be fun to mess with all of this. You can change your wheelbase. But yeah, just overall really cool. You can save a variety of different setups for your bike if you want to have something a little bit more extreme or something a little bit more dialed back for tighter or faster courses, whatever, right? So yeah, should be pretty sweet. Let's dive right into the game. And I really want to show you guys the difference between 250 and 450 because it's pretty substantial. And I think that's one thing that makes this game so good, is being able to feel the difference in the power. First gear, lean forward, clutch in. See if we can get a decent start here all the way from the outside. Can we close them off? Not quite, maybe. Still got the whole shot. Ooh, getting slammed. Now the 250s, you can really stay on them really hard, and the back end doesn't slip out too much unless you do something really, really extreme. For those of you guys that got deep into MXGP Pro, that was one thing that was pretty common. You really had to watch that rear end. And I'd say it's a little bit more smooth. The feedback's a little bit more obvious in this game, which is, I think, a nice addition and just feels polished, honestly. But again, on the 250, keep in mind it just doesn't have that grunt that the 450 does. And you don't have to deal with that back end snapping out on you too much. Even in the slower corners, you just kind of got to be a little careful there in second gear. Go all the way to the inside. You can see visually and this and that, it really does look very similar to the other games. It looks very nice. There's absolutely no doubt about it. One thing of note for anybody that's really nitpicking on graphics is I do have the motion blur turned off. It typically just works better for videos on YouTube, so keep that in mind. But the game itself just runs really smooth. I have no complaints. It's just worked really well so far for me. But the riding, it's easy to beat around the bush because there's so much to talk about with a new game. But I can tell you, especially here on the 250, you really have to focus on line and carrying momentum, which is really, really nice. It's all about being smooth and hitting those lines. So let me try to dial it in and try to keep things together a little bit better and try to reel in this guy in front of me. Should be very doable. On the 250s, really your first gear is pretty much useless. But one thing I can say, obviously I'm using manual transmission. Instead of braking in some of these sweepers that tighten up, you're almost better off just dropping down a gear and using your gear braking just to slow the thing up just a little bit, which sometimes it's just totally realistic for sure, but then other times it feels almost a little bit cheap, and you're able to close it in on the AI. Ooh, that shows you how that back end can come out. Again, that second gear kind of sweet spot in the power is when that thing wants to come out. First gear, you'll see, boom, red line. Pretty much useless when on the 450. You can definitely get away with utilizing that first gear. As far as in the corners, really it's a nice balance, I think. At the very beginning, admittedly, I think when you first pick up this game, you're going to go, okay, it's just the same as everything else. And I will admit it is very similar to the previous titles, but that does not mean it's a bad thing. I really do think that the best thing about these games is the way that you basically, they give you all of the ingredients to be able to rip around a track and enjoy motocross. And I think they do it pretty well. We'll get to in-air physics later, but I'm worried about just everything on the ground. How does it feel? It's nice to go through all the gears, use your rear brake to have that back end step out, and really maximize what they give you in this game to try to rip around a motocross track, right? It really promotes good racing, very similar to how like the Supercross games do, and really all the other MXGPs. If you played the other MXGP games, ooh, you are going to feel very comfortable with this game right away. I don't have too much time into this game, but ooh, that was sketchy. But you're going to feel comfortable right away if you really ripped around in those games quite a bit. But again, I don't think that's a bad thing. It's not anything groundbreaking, I wouldn't say. I think it's more of a polish on the previous games as far as physics go. But yeah, I think the physics... Ooh, that was quite the cut. But I think the physics in all of the games have been really solid, and I think nobody complains too much about the cornering and the way the bikes feel. Again, having that rear brake, the back end sliding out, it's almost nice that that happened. It doesn't really show you guys that I'm going very quick in this game, but that back end will come out on you, and you have to keep it in check, which is something that's always on your mind, and especially once you move to that 450, it's something that you always have to be considering when you roll on the power. So as far as the middle of the corner, you can kind of lean into it. It doesn't make too much of a difference in certain situations, but that perfect tight corner where you really want to utilize turning as hard as you can, it really pays off. Again, I think I'm just downshifting. Ooh, that was fourth gear. So it's really just the meat of the power where that back end wants to come out. But let's put in 2 really nice laps here. Time's out, so we'll have 2 laps once we cross. So almost 3 laps here. And I'm just going to focus on trying to ride clean and put some decent laps together to show you guys what this game's all about. Downshift into third just to kind of use that engine braking to the max. A little bit of a cut there, that's a bummer. You can really fly through there if you hit the perfect line. Keep in mind I have them on that hard difficulty and not realistic, so I shouldn't have too much trouble getting by these guys. Again, first gear, hitting that rev limiter, almost useless here on the 250. To the inside. Probably a good time to talk a little bit about the in-air physics. Next time I hit a jump that is easy to show you guys the scrubs and stuff, I will. Again, I think it's pretty similar to the previous titles. It does the trick, but I wouldn't say it's a very free whip, but it's kind of that canned whip style that we've had previously. But again, it works, and I think these games are all about those ground physics and all about just trying to have some really good racing, which is kind of what it's all about. You can see a little bit of a scrub there. Pretty small jump, that finish line, so we'll try to do the same thing somewhere else as we try to close the gap on these guys. 2 laps left now. I like the fast corners. The ruts themselves don't really do much. The nice visual, but that's about it. I'm so used to just doing in these games not that many scrubs, so forgive me for missing the scrub on that big jump there. See if we can get a nice line through there. There we go. You can see how you can make up a ton of time. Oh no, we're gonna go off track. Oh, we deserved that. That's okay. Trying to show you guys those scrubs. Again, it's just pushing the sticks towards each other to do the normal scrub mechanic there, or whip mechanic, depending on what you're doing. But so nothing too special, to be honest. I think this game, again, is going to be all about those ground physics. It is fun to throw those whips and try to maximize your speed and really try to make it look cool, but for the most part, the only way you're going to really be super pumped on it is when you're kind of in that lucky situation where you just hit it just perfect off the right jump, that kind of thing. I'm actually revving this thing out more than I probably should. Okay, we're going into last lap with the 250, and then we're going to hop onto a 450, and I'll be able to continue my thoughts on physics. So I know I haven't touched on everything, but we got a whole nother race ahead of us here. I think the only way to really enjoy this game, unless you're just super casual player, which is totally fine, but if you're real serious about these types of games, I think the only way to do it is to go manual transmission, manual weight, all that stuff, and then you can really enjoy maximizing what they have. Again, using that rear brake to stabilize the rear end going into corners, and maybe having it slide out if you really need it to, and then just going through the gears, and like I said, how I'm downshifting into some of the medium speed corners just to slow that bike down instead of getting on the brakes or even lifting off the throttle. That was a nice pass. I think that is what makes these games so good, because the ground physics are really nice. Like, it feels good, right? And again, if you've played the other games, I think you're gonna have an idea. Just expect a more polished version of that as far as the physics go. I haven't hit one hole yet. Everybody that played MXGP Pro knows that you kind of would just flip off your bike every once in a while because you hit a big hole or something. Let's see if we can maybe make something happen here. Oh no, that was going in second to last corner. I decided to pin it and see if we could get by him, but yeah, no holes, no weird glitches or anything. Honestly, it seems like it's running really smooth. So anyway, that is the 250, the MX2 class. Definitely could have won that one. Hard difficulty, so you can imagine realistic is going to be significantly harder, but I will tell you that it's not anything too crazy as far as the AI goes. Definitely, once you get comfortable, you're going to be able to beat them without too much issue. Quick little peek at kind of the ranking system and upgrade and leveling up, I guess. But yeah, that is a 250 there. We're going to ride the same track, and we are going to hop on a 450 here. So let's go Grand Prix. We will go Rider. Hurlings, like I said, we're keeping it on the KTM here. Now we're on the 450s, just so you can see. Same, boom, same settings. So let's hop in here and see the differences between the 250 and the 450 here in the MXGP class. I can tell you it is significantly different, and this is, to me, where the real fun comes in with this game. Now, I haven't put too much time in on the 450, I do have to admit, but I wanted to showcase it to you guys as soon as possible to get you guys some content so you guys know should you pick this game up or not. I have to say it is worth a pickup as far as I'm concerned. This isn't my full review video, but it is a really fun game to rip around on, enjoy some dirt bikes, and be going through some gears and the tracks, the visuals. It's just a ton of fun. So 450, you really have to watch the rear end. You have to squeeze the throttle instead of just pinning it. You got to be smart, and that's what it should be. I feel like a lot of games, to be honest with you, the 450 is not a huge difference. It's maybe just a little bit more power, but you don't have to ride it any different. So let's see here, leaning forward. See if we can get another good start and not deal with too much AI nonsense. Hole shot again, drifting wide. Here we are riding as Hurlings. There's something cool about seeing the 84 flag and everything on the back. It's just got that cool look, especially knowing how fast this dude is. Oh, I was going to actually throw a whip, but those guys really were struggling there. Cairoli in front of me. Oh, what a legend. But hopefully this video will really, if you were on the fence in that first race, this will hopefully change your mind a little bit more. These 450s make things super interesting. Oof. It's really hard to land in a scrubbing and then landing into a corner. It's hard to land at a little bit of an angle. It seems like if you land at an angle at all, it just really pulls you. So that's something to keep in mind. Definitely not a deal breaker, but it's something that you have to account for when you are throwing those scrubs. Super easy to clear that. You notice that I was kind of landing on the top of that on the 250. The 450 has that power. It's pretty sick. Again, that back end coming out. Oh no, that was my mistake. Good thing it didn't reset us there, but it is a totally different animal, this 450. And I think this is, again, let's be real, once people are doing a lot of racing online and things like that, multiplayer, the majority of it will be on 450s, and at least that's how it usually is. But it'll be so much fun, because to me, what makes this game so good, as far as all the arcade games go, this one really feels so nice on the outdoor tracks, very similar to Supercross, but these just have that different feel with the rear end, the MXGP titles, which is something I just really dig. You do have to honestly, oh no, we're drifting, whew. You do have to watch that rear end and be smooth with it. And when you're trying to maximize your speed through really fast sections while balancing that rear end, it just makes for a really fun experience, and kind of makes you think about what you're doing and riding a little bit more realistic. So, I don't know. You'll see a little bit more as we go, but that back end will swap on you. You can see just there, I'm in first gear. That first gear is a lot more useful here on the 450. In fact, it's really nice in the tight stuff. Had to tiptoe there, screwed up. We're clear back in fifth, so let's see if we can reel guys in. And I'll hopefully be able to, ooh, man, you really have to pay attention to that back end. Even though I've been saying it, doing it is a whole nother thing. And again, I don't have too much time on the 450 other than riding it and being like, holy crap, this is awesome. Even right there, you can see we jumped that triple there. Couldn't clear that on the 250 unless you just hit it perfect. The tight stuff, gotta be careful. Sometimes it's worth riding up a gear if you think you're just gonna be spinning and going all over the place. Go up a gear and lug. Man, that back end sliding around that entire section. Tried to throw a little scrub there on something small. Give you guys an idea what that kind of stuff's like. Man, it's definitely going to take some time to get comfortable with the back end coming out. You have to slow up for certain jumps to hit the right line. Again, something that you don't really have to do on that 250. It's pretty much pinned everywhere as fast as you can go. The 450, sometimes you need to slow up, make sure you hit the downside a little bit smoother. The cornering is just really rewarding in this game, and especially when you hop on the 450, because you do actually have to balance how much throttle and really what type of application you give, and that's where maybe the settings will really help. Obviously, there was the Accelerator Mapping, so basically throttle mapping, be able to decide how that power hits, so that might be a really fun addition in this game. Show you guys that inside line. But to me, the 450 with all of the manual settings on is where this game really shines. Like, I'm actually having fun balancing all of the inputs that the game gives me to try to get around the track smoothly, fast, and in a realistic way, which is always nice. It's kind of what this is all about. So you can see that back end stepping out in third, trying to get that power down. Closing in here. We're only going to have, I guess it's basically 3 laps left here. Let's try to make them count. Pretty good line through there, but Paul Lynn, he was able to keep it together. Into first for the tight stuff. Yeah, this is good. I'm telling you, like, I wouldn't BS you guys. This is going to be a really, really fun game. It's very similar to the previous games, but it just feels a little bit more polished. The 450s just feel really great, honestly. 250s, it's pretty much just pin it the whole way, make it happen, try to clear everything you can, and you got to really nail the corners, hit every line just perfect. The 450, it's like you can try to really have your own style or your own rhythm, and it is one of those where if you do get into a rhythm, it really shows and you're able to get around really quickly. I love games where it pays off when you get into that zone and that rhythm, that flow. And it does require that, honestly. It's not like it's just this silly, easy arcade game. Like, okay, it's arcadey, no doubt. I mean, if you didn't know that already, then you're looking up the wrong game. But I think some of the arcadey physics and things like that, and just overall feeling of this game, almost is a positive. I genuinely think that. Any other realism in certain things wouldn't be welcomed, to be honest. I will say the in-air physics, I would love to see a game like this with, you know, some really clever whips, but if I had to pick one or the other, I am all about getting the ground physics sorted before even considering what the whips are doing. And you can get where you're throwing scrubs that do make a difference, so that is something, at least it's something that's worth doing and worth using, especially as you get really quick at the game. I'm sure, as usual, you'll get where you're scrubbing just about everything, and it's just kind of the way to go. So a little bit more time needs to be had before I'm doing that, but overall, just finding the balance and trying to get around the track smoothly without crashing, it's rewarding. And as I crash, of course, but yeah, I mean, I think having a game be rewarding because of some difficulty, and when you have these graphics and these tracks, all the licensed bikes and everything, I think it just goes a really long way. And again, if you've played the other games, you kind of know what you're getting with this game. I honestly will say that. There's no secrets there. It's not like it's anything completely different, but just expect kind of the next better version of those games. And keep in mind, there is a lot of other new features, which you'll see in some videos coming very soon on this channel. The track editor, pretty cool to have a track editor on outdoor tracks. And then just all around the customization, the career, just a lot to enjoy with these games as you rip around. And really what I enjoy the most is the racing that you can have in these games. It's almost unparalleled. You play a lot of other games where it's easy to crash, almost too easy. And the multiplayer racing's not that great because one person crashes and it's like, okay, boom, they're 20 seconds behind now. Race is pretty much over. This, you can kind of get away with some crashes, some mistakes. It's a little bit more generous in that aspect. And you end up having just some really good racing where you're just battling the whole time. So, again, I think that's what this game is all about, and they just do it so well. So, expect to have some really fun racing, and where you're really trying to maximize all the inputs they give you to try to do something pretty solid and really get around the track quickly, safely, smart, and that's kind of what motocross is all about. But anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this little first look. It's a quick one, but I did want to show you guys the physics and comparison between the 250 and the 450. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Keep an eye out on this channel for a lot more videos of this game, both in career, head start, championship, things like that you've seen previously from me. And at the end, a full review of my final thoughts of the game overall. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. And until next time, I will talk to you later. Peace out.